What's up, basketball fans? Welcome to the Rats Report. It is time to talk about the Toronto Raptors because some big news came out today stating that the Toronto Raptors are reportedly looking to land a big name player on their trade market, according to Windhorse. I don't want to get too far afield from this, but since this has come up, the Raptors are a team that is starting to make noise within the league about looking for a big fish. So I'm going to be taking a look at three players. I've come up with three different trades I'm going to talk about today for today's video. And spoiler alert, it's not going to be superstar players. It's not going to be Zion Williamson. It's not going to be Giannis. I do want to take a little bit of a more realistic approach. These are players that would be considered all-stars or borderline all-star players. So let's get into today's video. And as you guys know, I do like to give out shout outs from my channel. And the shout out for today's video goes out to Courtney Bailey. Thank you so much for supporting this channel through your likes and comments. It is very much appreciated. Now, the question you may be asking is, why are the Toronto Raptors looking to trade for, a really good player? It's quite simple. The Toronto Raptors will, in the next 2 seasons, they'll have to pay players like Jakob Poeltl, who has a player option next offseason. They have to extend Ochai Agbaji as well, who is due for a big raise from $6 million to potentially anywhere from $12 to $17 million is probably the market that he's looking for. And then, of course, you got Grady Dick and RJ Barrett as well. 2 seasons from now, or 2 off seasons, I should say, that you're going to have to extend them. Now, why is this an issue for the Toronto Raptors? The Raptors are actually very close to the luxury tax as it is. In fact, they're going to be going over the luxury tax once they draft their 9th overall player, because that just pushes them over the luxury tax. So for a team like the Toronto Raptors, it's pretty much you have to throw all your marbles into one basket. And you might as well, if you're going to be paying the luxury tax instead of playing 2, 3 good role players, might as well just really go out there and go trade for a really good player. So let's start with our first trade here. And this comes between the Toronto Raptors and the Atlanta Hawks. Trae Young is a player that has been rumored for a few off seasons now. And, this trade here, just having a look at it, the Raptors get Trae Young. They also get Terrence Mann as well. And in return, they give up Emmanuel Quickly, RJ Barrett, Grady Dick, and 2 first-round picks. The first being this year's 9th overall pick and 2027 top 3 protected pick. Now, your initial reaction may be, well, we're giving up quite a bit, especially considering you're giving up Grady Dick and 2 first-round picks. And I mean, your initial reaction could also be, well, they're not giving up enough picks. Now, let's discuss this from the Hawks' point of view. Why do the Hawks do this? For one simple reason only. You can make the argument that there should be more first-round picks involved. The reason they don't is you get, Grady Dick, a 13th overall pick, but you also get Emmanuel Quickly. If you notice teams that have made trades the last couple of seasons, what have they done? They've traded, obviously, you look at a team like the Portland Trail Blazers. They traded Damian Lillard, yes, but they also got a player that they knew they could flip for a first-round pick as well. When you look at the Toronto Raptors, why did they want Bruce Brown? They wanted his salary because they knew you could include it in trades like they did with Brandon Ingram. And, in this trade here, the Hawks could definitely flip Emmanuel Quickly as well and potentially get a first-round pick. And obviously, Grady Dick being a first-round pick isn't bad. Now, for the Raptors' point of view, you get a really good all-star player. Some may call him a superstar player. Trae Young, just a really good scorer, really good three-point shooter, will help the Raptors in that department. But then you also get Terrence Mann as well to kind of give you a little bit more depth at the guard position. You do trade Grady Dick for that reason. But Terrence Mann, he's obviously a little bit on the older side, but that $15.5 million will also come in handy because the Raptors will still have several options to, package that with someone like Ochai Agbaji and try to potentially get another, either a center or get some help from the small forward position where you can get a 3 and D player as well. And you could still throw a few, first-round picks as well, because you didn't deplete all your assets in this trade here. Now, trade number 2 between the Toronto Raptors and the Cleveland Cavaliers. I felt this for the longest time. Darius Garland should have been moved to last offseason for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Him and Donovan Mitchell don't work together for one simple reason. Darius Garland is a floor general that needs the ball in his hands. Not that he can't score off the ball, but he's someone that should be the main point guard where he's running the offense. He's a really good passer as well. And, for the Cleveland Cavaliers, they get RJ Barrett here. They get Ochai Agbaji, someone that can play the small forward position, provide a little bit more defense. You could probably argue that's probably the last thing they need right now. But RJ helps them create a little bit more on the offensive side, whereas Ochai gives them defense. And in return, they get 2 first-round picks, 2026 top 5 protected, 2028 top 5 protected. Now, why do the Raptors do this? And you even may ask, why would the Raptors do this without giving up Emmanuel quickly? For a Cleveland Cavaliers team, I don't think they necessarily want another point guard if they are trading Darius Garland. They get RJ Barrett that can play the shooting guard, small forward position, and just generate a little bit more offense than Darius Garland has. And why did the Raptors do this? For one simple reason: Darius Garland now becomes the point guard of the future. Again, I think it's a little bit understated that he can't really show his full potential there because you got Donovan Mitchell, who's very ball dominant, and for Darius Garland to be on a team like the Toronto Raptors, he'll have unlocked that full potential, and particularly in a system like Darko's, where it just involves a lot of ball movement. But even when we talk about Emmanuel quickly, right? People are going to say, well, you got Emmanuel quickly. This is where you make further moves now. You trade Emmanuel quickly. Maybe you look to trade another first round pick as well. Again, with a lot of these trades, the Raptors haven't entirely depleted their future assets in terms of draft capital. Now you potentially look to trade someone like Emmanuel quickly, maybe Grady Dick, throw in a first round pick or two, and now try to acquire a small ball, or not small ball, excuse me, a small forward or a shooting guard that can play really good defense. And then all of a sudden you have a lineup of Jakob Poeltl, Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes. You have a small forward, shooting guard, wherever you want to put him, and then Darius Garland as well. So that looks like a very strong starting five. So I think this trade would be amazing for the Toronto Raptors. I know a lot of Raptors fans may not be high on Darius Garland, just given his recent performance in the last couple seasons, in the playoffs in particular. But I think he has the potential to be a really good player. It's just he doesn't really get that opportunity there, just with Donovan Mitchell kind of, having more ball duty compared to Darius Garland. Now, our last and final trade here comes again with the New Orleans Pelicans and the Raptors made, obviously, the trader surrounding Brandon Ingram. They make yet another trade. Now, why are the Pelicans trading DeJounte Murray, you may ask? For one simple reason only. They said their roster, no one is untouchable. Now, what do the Raptors do here? The Raptors receive DeJounte Murray, and in return, they trade Emmanuel Quickly, Ochai Agbaji, a 2026 top five protected, and a 2029 pick swaps as well. So again, the Raptors don't lose two first round picks. You just give the Pelicans the opportunity to pick swap in 2029. Now, again, the Pelicans do this similar reason. You can flip Emmanuel Quickly, you can flip Ochai Agbaji for more draft capital as well. And you already get, another first round pick in 2026 and a pick swap in 2029. Why do the Raptors do this? This gives them something that the Raptors haven't had in quite a while. And this gives them a really good defensive point guard, but also a really tall point guard. 6'5" point guard DeJounte Murray hasn't exactly had the opportunity. Similarly, with how I mentioned Darius Garland, DeJounte hasn't had the opportunity to really display all of his skills playing with someone like Trae Young, right? It's really challenging in today's NBA to have two guys like that both need the ball and expect them to have a winning team. So for DeJounte Murray, he'll get the reins here, as the main ball handler. He can create as well. He's got really good defense, deflects a lot of passes as well, gets you a lot of steals. And I just think with the Raptors system, having someone like DeJounte would be such a luxury to have, to finally have a really good defensive point guard would be amazing to have. And just on top of that, his size and the way he's able to operate on the offensive side as well just gives the Raptors so much to work with here. And again, it's just he's also one of those players I really feel like could guard most shooting guards in the NBA as well. So again, I really do like this trade. Are the Raptors giving up a lot here? Maybe, according to some people, I don't think it's too much to give up. DeJounte Murray is going to be an excellent player if the Raptors do decide to trade for him. But I'm very curious to hear what your thoughts are on these three trades. Now, I know people are going to say, well, they're hunting for a superstar player. None of these players are superstars, guys. I want to be realistic. Like looking at the Bucks, if they're trading for Giannis, if the Raptors are trading for Giannis, they're not doing that trade without Scotty Barnes. And do the Raptors do that? I personally would. I don't think the Raptors do it because it kind of defeats the purpose of what you're trying to accomplish. You look at someone like Zion Williamson, all sorts of off-court issues with the rape allegations, with his inability to stay healthy. Are the Raptors going to trade for him? Not really. And again, it just makes your roster construction just really awkward, if you ask me. If the Raptors do trade for Zion and Scotty's on the roster, like what does that fit look like? And obviously the Raptors aren't trading Scotty for Zion. And even some of the other guys as well. So again, I'm very curious to hear your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, I do have a trivia question for you today. And the trivia question is, since we're talking about trades, in 1998, the Toronto Raptors traded Damian Stoudemire to the Blazers. Which of the following player was not in their trade? Was it Kenny Anderson? Was it B, Gary Trent Sr.? Was it C, Alvin Williams? Or was it D, Rick Brunson? So whoever answers this trivia question correctly first in the comment section gets a shout out in my next video. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have yourselves a great day.